Well, good morning, Michigan. Hopefully everyone's doing all right out there so far today. It's kind of foggy one out there, do say so myself. I'm Chief Meteorologist Joel Fritzma. Welcome to this morning's briefing here on March 6, 2026. We've got severe storms possible today and tomorrow here across the state of Michigan. Sounds like I'm coming through all right. Feel free to drop location in chat. Tell us where you're watching from this morning. We'll go ahead and get started here in just a second. Also, shout out to Tommy over here on YouTube, back for month number 18 as an EF0 member, saying my go-to source for all Michigan weather. Thank you very much, Tommy. Sounds like we're doing all right. Again, feel free to smash that like button and the follow button if you're new here. We do this all the time here at Michigan Storm Chasers for briefings and, of course, severe weather coverage. First thing I wanted to get started with this morning here, I'm actually going to go ahead and tab over to, if it lets me, it will not let me, so I guess I'm going to have to do it the hard way. Go over to the radar, and this is what we're looking at so far this morning. Showers and thunderstorms crossing Lake Michigan right now. In fact, there is a marine weather statement out there for portions of southern Lake Michigan. This line of showers and storms only producing some smaller wind gusts and, of course, some cloud-to-ground lightning. So if you hear thunder, make sure to head indoors and take shelter until the storms do pass. You don't want to be struck by a rogue lightning bolt today. We also have some dense fog advisories out there in the gray zones, as you can see here, primarily across West Michigan and northern Indiana. Of course, looks like the most recent one for northern Indiana has expired. So those are all the alerts currently out there this morning. We'll go ahead and jump into what we're looking at for severe weather today. Now, for those who are new here, this will be new terminology for you. And if you are a returning member, you'll hear about some of this repeated stuff from last year. We talk about SLIM all the time here at Michigan Storm Chasers. The four main ingredients for severe weather. Shear is S, lift is the L, I is instability, and M is your general supply of moisture. So we're going to take a quick look here at our shear component for today, primarily in what's called the 850 millibar height map. Now this is about a mile or so off the ground, so this is kind of our low-level driving factor for strong gusty winds. When we get these downdrafts that happen within these thunderstorms, these winds that you see in the 850 millibar level do mix to the ground and cause damaging winds. So you can't see the time really in PM up here, so I'll have to run through it myself so you guys can get a reference of what's going on here. So the current time on your screen is 20Z, so that would be 15 p.m. or 3 o'clock, as you guys would better know it as. So 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you can see our low-level jet is starting to increase across portions of western Michigan. Anywhere you see those purples and reds, those are going to be your values of 40 to 50 knots of wind. Now, as we move into the evening hours, so now once we get to about the 5, 6, and 7 o'clock hours, this is where we start to see the peak intensity of our low-level jet. All those reds there you see on the screen, once again, are 50 knots or greater. And that'll continue here into 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11, and by the time we get to midnight, that low-level jet starts to sweep out of the area and move over into Ontario. Now, however, we do have to watch Saturday here for another chance at severe thunderstorms, primarily in the morning hours and then again in the early afternoon hours, primarily for damaging winds. And you can see why we have another source of low-level winds moving in here across West Michigan. This is 10Z. So it's going to be 5 a.m. on Saturday. So this is bright and early if you have anything going on early Saturday morning. Low-level jets increasing. We do have a chance for scattered damaging winds across the state. And that low-level jet will pass over to eastern Michigan as we get into the 10 o'clock, 11, and noon time frame, before eventually we do have this other low-level jet that brings kind of gusty showers into the afternoon hours on Saturday. So the main threat for Saturday is going to be that early morning time frame, so around that 6 to 11 time frame. And tonight, backing it up here to Friday, you can see that low-level jet for winds at least is going to be from primarily 4 p.m. to about midnight. So again, 4 p.m. to midnight tonight, 6 to 11 tomorrow morning. Those are the two chances here, at least according to the S component, your shear vectors on the models. Also, we have to take a look at our general instability. And to do that, we have to go down to our surface-based CAPE. As a reminder, you need instability for storms to form. This is basically general storm fuel. Think of it as you're filling up the atmosphere with gas, or you're car with gas. The more you put in it, the longer the storms are going to go, the stronger they may be. We are going to look at this surface-based CAPE component, the instability component here, as we go throughout the afternoon hours. So we'll start it here at 20Z, which is going to be the equivalent of about 4-ish in the afternoon. Once we get to, well, it's about 3. Once we get to about 4 and 5, you can see that surface-based instability down here in the about southwest corner of Michigan is starting to ramp up with the warm front. That warm front is going to advect joules per kilogram of 1,500 in some cases into southwest Michigan. Now what that means is that's a lot of energy. Again, everything in instability is measured in joules, so that is, energy. We are usually looking for values of about 750 to 1,000 and higher when it comes to these spring setups. When we're seeing values that are about 1,250 to 1,500, primarily between that 5 to 7 to 8 o'clock time frame, it's a good chance that we'll see some strong to severe thunderstorms there in the southwest corner before eventually the capping inversion takes over late at night. So here's 7 p.m. once again, 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m., midnight, and 1 a.m., and eventually all of that surface-based CAPE is starting to taper off. But again, our peak timing for our surface-based CAPE is going to be here from about 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock this evening, here where the blue is showing up. So keep that in mind as we go throughout this afternoon hours. Any storms that do move through that southwest quadrant of the lower peninsula do have a chance to become strong to severe, again, with all that energy pooling in along the warm front. So that is the I component. So again, we went through shear, instability. We also can look at lift here real quick. There is that warm front moving through the area. So we're looking at lifted indice values of around -5 or lower, so -6, -7. We can see lifted indices here in southwest Michigan of about -4 to -5. -6 is the forecasted there. So decent lift. It's not obviously the strongest lift you're going to get for a normal summertime setup. Again, it's not summer yet, so once we get into summertime, you'll start to see -7s, -8s. But again, it's sufficient lift, I should say, for this event. And again, all you need is a warm front or some sort of boundary to move through to get any sort of showers and storms blossoming up into the upper levels of the atmosphere. So that's the L component. So shear, lift, instability, we have decent amounts of each. And again, we have to take a look at the last component, moisture. So our general humidity here is going to be what to look for. Let's go ahead and switch it over to our dew points throughout the day. Now again, we are in early spring, by meteorological terms, of course, not astronomical, but as you can see here on your screen, here's the dew points as we move into this afternoon. What do you guys notice? 60-degree dew points on March 6th. That is a recipe for some very strong to severe thunderstorms in southwest Michigan. All you really need is dew points right around 60 degrees. And again, that pools in with the warm front, as you can see here. That time on your screen, again, as I mentioned, 4 p.m., primarily the start time for this afternoon round of severe thunderstorms. Here's 4 p.m. You can see dew points up into the low to mid 60s, primarily across Berrien, Cass, St. Joseph, Van Buren, and Kalamazoo counties. And then anywhere you see in blue there is the edge of your 60-degree gradient. And so those 60-degree dew points do make it up into Grand Rapids, perhaps over into Lansing, into Jackson, and eventually perhaps over into Lenawee County there as we move into, this is going to be 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m. And those dew points do hang out well overnight as we move into Saturday morning. And again, that's why we're going to see another round of severe thunderstorms perhaps Saturday morning, is because these dew points don't go anywhere overnight. They stick with us, and it'll help fuel thunderstorms early Saturday morning. As you can see here, 60-degree dew points remain all the way up through 5, 6, and 7 a.m. And you can see kind of where that line of storms is moving through 8 a.m., 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and eventually over on the other side of the state at 11 a.m. tomorrow morning. So again, 60-degree dew points possible all the way through tomorrow afternoon for portions of southern Michigan. And again, that's your M component for severe weather. So we went through shear, that's your wind. Your lift, that's your front, so we have a warm front moving in. Instability, that's your general storm fuel. And of course, M is your moisture, so we look at the dew points for that. And as you can see, dew points well into the 60s, which is a sign that we could see all hazards possible. Also want to take a look at the forecasted wind gusts because, again, damaging winds are possible with both lines of storms. You can see primarily with tonight's line of storms, not so much a wind risk. But as we move into tomorrow, that does change. As you can see along the line there, right where the reds pop up, those are some wind gusts of perhaps 40 to 50 and even higher miles per hour. And again, I think tomorrow is going to be the better chance for your damaging wind risk. Tonight's risk here in West Michigan primarily and Southwest Michigan is going to be more of a tornado and hail risk, just because we could see some isolated cells. I want to talk about that right now because you guys are probably begging me to show the radar, and we're going to go ahead and do that right now. To do that, I have to go down here to severe weather and our reflectivity, and we'll go ahead and run it through. This is the HRRR run. We'll take you through the HRRR run, the RRFS, and the FE3 run here so you guys can see the difference between the three models. So first and foremost, here is the HRRR as of right now. This is what the current radar should be looking like outside right now around noon, and this is what we see. So here's noon. Now we're going to fast forward it. Here's 1 o'clock. Here's 2 o'clock. Here's 3 o'clock. And there's 4 o'clock. As you can see, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, kind of rocket back and forth here. You can see some thunderstorms moving in with that first line that we can see on Lake Michigan right now. This line is going to be your first line of storms. However, we've got to kind of wait for those ingredients to move in. And that's why when these storms initially come on shore, they won't be severe. You'll see thunder, or see lightning, hear thunder, that'd be weird, as it moves on shore, primarily in Ottawa, Kent, Allegan counties. And eventually, as the moisture moves in, that instability that I just showed you guys, those 60-degree dew points, that 1,500 joules per kilogram of CAPE, all that moves in, that'll get funneled right up into the storms with that southerly flow, and it will cause the same line of storms to eventually take on a severe threat as I move to here's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You can kind of see those darker hues within the line. This is 4 p.m. once again. Those purples there are usually what's going to be called hail cores and perhaps some embedded supercells within a line. As we move to 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 7 o'clock, you can see some more cells popping in across the I-96 region and perhaps up towards Mount Pleasant. And eventually, here we go at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and that line does move off to the east side of the state. So good news for Southeast Michigan. On this model run, the HRRR, it pretty much has most of these storms missing you guys until, of course, tomorrow morning. We're going to run through this as well because I'm on the HRRR run. You guys deserve to see both lines. So here's 1 a.m., taking it forward past tonight, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., and we can see thunderstorms all the way up into the UP with this event. Then as you move into 5 a.m., here comes that line of gusty showers and perhaps severe thunderstorms on shore. 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11, and then noon tomorrow. And I will say this, the HRRR in this latest run has kind of downtrended a little bit for tomorrow morning. It used to show a decent squall line. This latest run has not, but that again can change in the next update, so we do have to keep an eye on this still for tomorrow morning for damaging wind risk. So that's the HRRR run for both this evening and tomorrow morning. We'll go ahead and take it over to the RRFS, which is kind of an experimental model. And we're going to have to back it up to the 00Z run. Show you guys what we're looking at for today for the RRFS. So again, these are different weather models showing the reflectivity across the state, what it could look like throughout this afternoon and tomorrow morning. So here is 13, so here's 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, you can see that first line of thunderstorms moving on shore, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and it does have it starting a little bit later on the RRFS. I think we're going to lean more towards the HRRR just because these thunderstorms are already on Lake Michigan. But again, this is about 5 o'clock. You can see a line of pearls, as we call them, crossing the Grand Rapids Metro. There's 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and that string of pearls does move off into the thumb region. As we move into tomorrow morning, here comes that line of thunderstorms once again, 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9, 10, and 11, and eventually noon tomorrow. And we could see another line, as I mentioned, of gusty showers throughout the afternoon hours. Again, not expected to be severe, but there's a decent environment there for at least some gusts within that line. But again, the main priority right now is looking out for severe weather tonight, 4 p.m. to 1 a.m., and tomorrow morning from about 5 a.m. to noon. Kind of bullseyed that 6 to 11 time frame, but just to give you guys a wiggle room of an hour, 5 to noon tomorrow. So that's the RRFS. We're also going to take a look at the FE3. This will be the last one I look for here. To fast forward to the 12Z run because that's the most recent one. Here's, once again, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 2, 3, 4. And here is your string of pearls moving on shore at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. And I will say this right now, you guys didn't really see the HRRR run from last night, but this kind of takes on the look of the HRRR run from last night, where you have the string of pearls from Grand Rapids south. And so again, this is 6 o'clock, here's 7, here's 8, here's 9, here's 10. And so this model, the FE3, has these showers and thunderstorms moving more through southern Michigan than perhaps central Michigan. So one model says southern Michigan and perhaps central Michigan. The other two say right down the 96-69 corridor. Bottom line, anywhere in southern and central Michigan should be on alert tonight, primarily after 4 p.m. And then again tomorrow morning, here's 5 a.m., 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So those are your two time frames for severe weather between now and tomorrow afternoon. One last look here. I want to do a quick view of the precipitation between now and this weekend, the rest of the weekend. You guys are looking forward to some rain out there, I've heard, and here is what we're looking at over the next 36 hours. So rainfall, as you can see, across the state, primarily between 1/4 and 3/4 of an inch. We could see some locations get up to an inch or perhaps more, primarily across the central Michigan region where those string of pearls kind of train over the same area. So if you're looking for rain, you want to be in the Grand Rapids area and primarily points north as we cross into Saturday and eventually early Sunday when this rain starts to taper off. Now you may be asking me, when does this end? Well, good news, if you're looking for a sunny day this weekend, Sunday will be that day, as we do expect mostly sunny skies by the afternoon hours on Sunday. Temperatures won't be up into the high 60s like we'll see kind of Monday and Saturday, but it will be comfortable. We see temperatures in the 50s out there. If you're in the lower peninsula, if you're in the upper peninsula, I'm sorry, you guys are going to have to deal with some snow showers perhaps as the system actually moves through tonight into tomorrow. So that's your rainfall totals. And once again, if you guys missed it, our severe weather outlook has been released on our page. This is our general severe weather outlook. So if you guys don't care about the individual hazards, this severe weather outlook is the one you'll always want to reference. So this is just a combination of all the hazards combined. It just gives you a basic severe level. And if you are in a level 2 risk, that is your greatest chance because that is the highest that you see on this map. Again, it lines up pretty well with the HRRR and the FE3 run. Level 2 zone encompasses Lansing, Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, Holland, down towards Benton Harbor and Niles. Level 1 risk, so lower chances, but still chances nonetheless. Jackson, Coldwater, Pontiac, Flint, Saginaw, Mount Pleasant, even up towards Big Rapids and Ludington. And then anywhere you see the tan, level 0 risk, that is just general thunderstorms. It's not technically a severe risk, but we cannot rule out an isolated severe storm in a level 0 zone because with any thunderstorms, there is that very minute chance that you could get a severe thunderstorm outside that zone. As we move into our hazards, now this is if you do care about the hazards, these are the probabilities of each hazard happening if you are in a risk. So if you are in the green zone, or I should say, these are the probabilities of this hazard happening if a storm were to hit your area. So what I mean by that is if you don't get a storm, your odds are always going to be 0% until you get that storm to actually hit you. Once a storm does pass over you, this is where the probabilities come in. In the green zone, it's a 4 to 10% chance of a tornado. In the blue zone, it's a 1 to 3% chance, and if you're in the tan zone, it's a less than 1% chance. So if you want to think about it the non-stressful way, in the green zone, it is a 90 to 96% chance that that storm does not produce a tornado. So overall, still really low odds, despite the fact that it is a level 2 of 6 on our scale. It's not too much to stress about, but again, you do want to keep in mind that you are in some sort of risk, and you do want to keep an eye on the sky and here at Michigan Storm Chasers as you go throughout the afternoon. Wind and hail are going to be the exact same map, so I'll kind of rock them back and forth here. 5 to 14% chance across the same area as the general severe weather outlook. 1 to 4% chance, Ludington, Mount Pleasant, Saginaw, Flint, Pontiac, Jackson, and a less than 1% chance for severe wind and hail across any of the tan zones. Now for wind and hail, the criteria for severe for wind is 60 miles per hour, and for hail, it is 1 inch in diameter or greater. So what that means is if you're in the green zone, you have a 5 to 14% chance of either 60 mile per hour winds and or 1 inch hail. And again, those stones can be larger in nature. The max hailstone with this event, if any, if we can get that semi-discrete look for these cells and get supercellular nature, we could see up to 1.5 inch hail. That's very rare. It likely won't happen. It might only happen for one tiny location. Most of the hailstones with this event will be 1 inch in diameter. So basically just scraping by for severe hazards when it comes to tonight and of course tomorrow. And again, I will mention this real quick. If you want to see a severe weather outlook for tomorrow's line, so Saturday morning and perhaps Saturday afternoon, we will have another 4-panel outlook out this afternoon. And that again will encompass 5 a.m. Saturday through the afternoon hours on Saturday. So make sure to follow us here at Michigan Storm Chasers because we will have that out here this afternoon, hopefully before we go severe. If not, again, we drop everything in track. That is our top priority here at Michigan Storm Chasers. But once again, that is the briefing. If you guys have any questions, I will go ahead and turn to them real quick. And I will also go through our, I'll go through the radar loop once again so you guys can see it here. So once again, this is going to be as of 14, so this is 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5, 6, and 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1. As a reminder, the redder those cells are, the heavier the rains, perhaps the more severe they'll be. And as we get into tomorrow morning, so round 2, this is going to be 10, this is going to be 5 a.m. I'll actually back it up one. Here's 3, 4, then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then noon on Saturday. And of course, we do have to watch for some gusty showers in the afternoon that won't pose that much of a severe risk. So that is the radar loop. I will now go ahead and jump over to comments. First and foremost, shout out to our members coming back for a couple months here. Got Jacob M. back for month number 17, saying thanks for the updates as always. No problem, Jacob. And Caden G, back for month number 11, saying thanks to the entire MSC team for everything they do. No problem, kid. And Linodium, back for month number 20. Thank you guys very much. Real quick, I also wanted to bring up the point of you should know where you're located on a map. I will actually bring up the radar that I'll be using for severe weather coverage for today. As you can see, as you zoom out, there's a lot of cities aren't showing because obviously it'd be clustered. There's like 3,000 municipalities in the state of Michigan. You can't really list them all, otherwise it would crowd the map. So when I zoom out, you can see some major roadways, you can see some of the major cities, but if you don't see your town on here, it's good to kind of memorize where you're at in kind of location around major cities. So here's Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo. Let's say you live in Hastings, but you don't see it on here. Well, Hastings is in Berry County. So you would look for north central Berry County, and that is where Hastings would be. If I zoom out, you can kind of keep an eye on that. And you also want to keep an eye on the counties surrounding you if you are in Hastings, for example, for any severe weather, especially off to the west where most of our storms come from. So it's always good to keep that in mind to watch out for Allegan County if you're in Berry or Kent or Van Buren or Kalamazoo, because those counties do surround you, and that's where most of our severe weather will come from. So storms today moving from west to east. And again, this is our first line of storms moving on shore here in a little bit. Not expected to be severe right away, but again, as we move into the afternoon hours, that instability will move in. The general shear will uptick, and we'll get a low end all hazards chance. Again, I guess I didn't really mention this specifically, but the best chance for hail and tornadoes will be tonight, and the best chance for damaging wind will be with the line tomorrow morning around 5 a.m. to noon. So again, hail tornado threat, best tonight, wind threat tomorrow morning. So I'll go ahead and jump over to chat here. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in for this briefing so far. If you already got what you need, feel free to smash that like button on the way out. And again, we got you covered. If any warnings go get issued, I guess you could say, and we'll go live. We'll also have a timing map, or at least like an hour by hour on our page here in a little bit over at Michigan Storm Chasers on Facebook, so make sure to follow us over there. But again, best timing for severe weather this evening, 4 p.m. to 1 a.m. 4 p.m. is going to be more for West Michigan, and then as you get towards the 7, 8, 9, 10, that's going to be more towards the east side of the state. Tomorrow morning, 5 to 11 is kind of that zone for severe weather, with 5 a.m. being West Michigan and 11 a.m. being more the east side. We got Julie, one of our mods, back for month number 22 as an EF3 member, saying, can I plant my garden now? We're getting there, but we do still have some cold weather on tap upcoming here in the state of Michigan. I actually will bring my model back in here because for those who are watching in the UP and might not be affected by severe weather today, we do have snow chances actually moving in for Saturday, primarily across the western UP, 1 to 3 inches, perhaps 2 to 4 across portions of the Keweenaw Peninsula. So if you are up in the UP watching, it's going to be warm and then cold really quickly as we move into Sunday, or Saturday and then Sunday. Sorry, I just had to bring that up for you guys. We also use this map called the Supercell composite. This kind of takes a combination of all those ingredients of Slim and puts them all on one map and gives you just a generic number. There's no, I guess there's not really a limit to how far up the Supercell composite goes, but really anything over a 2 is sufficient for Supercell development. And as you can see for this afternoon, as we move into, this will be 4 o'clock, this is where we start. 4 primarily for severe weather. There's 5 and 6. We see supercell composite of perhaps 8 to 12. And so that is something to definitely take account of. And we could see some supercells with an all hazards risk. And then when we get to about 7 a.m., we see that instability start to taper off of the surface. And thus our overall supercell composite starts to taper off as well. Again, the east side of the state will get brushed by for this first line. But as you can see, the highest odds of supercell development is going to be on the west side of the state. So if you're in Macomb, Oakland, Wayne County, chances of a tornado tonight, not likely. But again, southwest Michigan, we are watching very closely. As you can see here is a nice bullseye for supercell composite across Van Buren, Kalamazoo, Berrien, Cass, St. Joseph, over into Branch, over into Calhoun, even up into Allegan, Berry, and Eaton counties. So again, right where you see this zone in southwest Michigan, this is the highest concern, at least, for severe weather this evening. And as we move into tomorrow morning, we also see a slight increase along the line, but this is going to be primarily a straight line wind event. So not really looking for supercells tomorrow morning. It's just going to be kind of a line of wind, as we'd call it. So supercells tonight, straight line winds tomorrow. And again, not everyone will see severe weather. I should mention that as well as a disclaimer. That's why the probabilities are the way they are. Again, a 4 to 10% does not guarantee a 100% chance that you get severe. You can still get really lucky and have it all blow by you to the north, the south, the east, the west. So don't stress. Again, as long as you have a severe weather plan ready when the time comes and you're able to get your alerts in multiple ways, you are more prepared than 99% of the rest of the state. I will now actually take to the comments here. I've been kind of rambling for a little bit. We're going to be in any kind of watch. It is possible we could see a short fused watch this afternoon, but again, with the odds so low from the Storm Prediction Center, they probably will just put out like a mesoscale discussion and probably no more, just knowing that the coverage of this will be low in nature. But again, it's totally possible. For those who are curious what the Storm Prediction Center's outlook looks like, they have a marginal risk for pretty much the entire lower peninsula. This does cover both tonight and tomorrow, so keep that in mind. This does cover the damaging wind risk that is supposed to come in tomorrow morning. Our map only covers tonight. So we will release a separate map for Saturday morning stuff once again before hopefully this line of storms that moves in this afternoon actually hits. So once I get off the stream here, I'm going to be going right to work, getting that severe weather outlook out for you guys for Saturday morning. And again, that will be found on our Facebook, Instagram, and X social media pages. MI Storm Chasers is the tag. Again, they have low hazards for all of their categories there. So keep that in mind. We will not talk about Tuesday and Wednesday next week until we get through the weekend. There's a lot that's been changing over the last 24 hours. So talk about going to sleep tonight and during the storms. we'll bring this back from last year, and I think Caleb said it first, but don't sleep naked as we get into spring and summer. Yes, you heard me correctly, especially if you need to jump up and go to shelter. It's best to be dressed and ready to go than to be scrambling around for an outfit as the storms are bearing down on you. So don't sleep naked. Make sure to have ways to be alerted when you are sleeping, like a Midland weather radio or any sort of alert apps on your phone, and you will be prepared better than anyone else. And I will say this with the Midland weather radios, they do have attachments that you can add, such as the pillow shaker if you are deaf or hard of hearing. That will attach and you can put it underneath your pillow, and so anytime an alert goes off, it'll actually shake your pillow. So it's very useful, and Midland weather radios are relatively cheap. The price has been going up just because of the parts, continue to increase, but it's about $50 to $60 at your local hardware store. You can get it on the Midland weather radio website or on Amazon. And again, just because it says Midland doesn't mean it just covers Midland. It's just the name of the brand, Midland weather radio. Again, we can't pinpoint where a tornado will hit exactly until we get to the point where we can see these storms on radar and they're actually becoming severe. For those who have followed us for a while, we've successfully covered 2 tornadoes about 10 minutes before they actually touched down. We were calling them out on radar for the process of tornado genesis, and number 1 was Comstock Park the same day that Weberville happened. And many of you guys remember the Grand Blank night, February 27th, 28th of 2024. We called that one out 10 minutes in advance as well. So it's just like space weather. We can't really pinpoint it's happening or it's going to happen at your location until about 10 minutes or 15 minutes prior to it impacting your area. Again, if we had a crystal ball, we'd be able to tell you. But again, we are given the same tools as everybody else, and we use what we learn in meteorology to give you the best guess and best track forward when it comes to tracking severe weather. So we got you covered. Nothing gets past us, especially when it comes to severe weather coverage. So again, make sure you're following or subscribing this afternoon when any alerts get warned. Yes, Flint is in the lower risk. Again, our severe weather outlook does denote that. This is the general severe weather outlook for today. And if you're in a level 2 zone, you have the greatest chance at severe weather overall. Level 1, lower chance, but it's still a chance nonetheless. You don't want to let your guard down just because you're in a level 0 or level 1 zone, because severe weather can and will happen outside the main area. We've seen that many times in Michigan. For those who are perhaps new to the state, we often see a lot of surprises on our low-end days. So not saying that's going to happen, but again, you just do want to have a general sense of weather awareness when it comes to these low-level days, for sure. Should be a MSC Magic 8 ball. That'd be awesome. Yes, we'll be live anytime a severe warning does get issued. Again, we go live for severe thunderstorm warnings and tornado warnings anytime it's issued. And we have not missed covering a single warning in the entire state. No one else has done this since late 2023 when we started doing these live streams kind of full time. So haven't missed a storm going severe, warned for over 2.25 years now. No, not every storm will turn severe. Best way to watch us, by the way, is going to be on YouTube. So if you're not a subscriber on YouTube, highly recommend. It is free to subscribe. You just have to have, I think it's a Google account, which is, again, free to set up. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button because, again, YouTube sends you notifications when we go live. Additionally, you can also follow us on X or Twitch TV if that's your thing, because those platforms also send live notifications. We're trying to push these other platforms this year just because our severe weather coverage is very useful, but most of our followers are on Facebook, and Facebook does not push live notifications. And so even if you don't use YouTube or X or Twitch all the time, it's better to just follow us and have the notifications turned on than to not have the notification whatsoever. So highly recommend. Again, our tag on any of our social media accounts is MI Storm Chasers. In the bottom right corner, as I've been talking, you can actually see our social media scrolling through. So highly recommend liking and following on any of those platforms that do send live notifications. No problem, Shelly. No problem, Victoria. Again, the line of storms that's currently on Lake Michigan is technically going to be part of that first complex of severe weather this afternoon. But again, right now it's just a small hail and lightning threat. So we have to wait for our instability, our warm front, to catch up to the north. Because as you can see right now, it is, I don't know if you can see it really quickly here, but if I circle it, that MEDAR station in Kalamazoo is 50 over 49. So it's a temperature of 50 and a dew point of 49. As a reminder, again, we talked about the dew points here. We need those to be kind of close to 55, 60 degrees for a decent chance at severe weather. It's only 54, 52 in Sturgis right now, so we got a long way to go. Our first 60-degree dew point is all the way down here in Valparaiso. And again, that's about right where the warm front's located. So it's across this US 6 corridor in the last row of counties in northern Michigan. So we still have to wait for this warm front, which is draped across northern Indiana, that's what I meant to say, to move into southern Michigan up into the 94 and perhaps 96 corridor. So once that does, this line here, if it slows down enough, will become severe. Otherwise, we do have to watch back here in the Chicago area for our main batch. And I would tend to believe that this is going to be where those storms develop. Right back here, it's not going to be this front line, but it's going to be this back line, just taking a rough estimate here on where this back line is coming through. So just because it's going to match up well with the warm front moving in, I believe it's going to be this back line. So keep that in mind. Still got a ways to go. This front line will only be at least for now, a lightning and small hail risk. Some of you guys are more weather aware than others, and for some of you guys, you may be aware that the Storm Prediction Center has issued, or they came up with new categories this year for their severe weather maps, and I can show you what I mean by that here on this map. So I'll go ahead and switch it back to my source because I realize it's not sharing, but a little quick weather, I guess if you follow the Storm Prediction Center often, they switched it up to better indicate probability versus the intensity of what hazard is going to hit. So for example, this is the tornado risk for today from the Storm Prediction Center. You can see there's greens and browns and yellows, and there's also a little bit of a what's called a intensity gradient over it, where those dashed lines move through. And in fact, it was in Michigan yesterday, but they removed it this morning. What this is entailing is, first and foremost, the colors are the probability. So what I showed you guys is what the Storm Prediction Center also does, 2%, 5%, 10%. But again, we have these dashed lines. So if you come over here to the bottom right, you now have a new intensity scale on the bottom right corner. Now, I could go willy-nilly and dive into the percentages of it all and what each one means, but the best way to remember it is intensity 1, or I should say, if there's no intensity, so here in Michigan, we don't have any intensity on us. What that means is most of our tornadoes will be weak in nature, so EF0s, EF1s. Once you get into our hatched intensity number 1 zone, that's when you start to see EF2 plus, intensity 2, which is not shown, and intensity 3 isn't shown either. But intensity 2, for example, for tornadoes, would be EF3 plus, and then intensity 3 would be the violent tornado, so EF4 plus. Wind is the same way. They do have intensity 1, 2, and 3. That would be used for derechos during the summertime because those are pretty intense. They also added the probability of wind of 75 and 90% this year, so that's new. And hail also does have intensity ratings on it as well of 1 and 2. So again, that just goes to show you for intensity 1 and intensity 2 for hail, that would be your 2-inch hail or your 3.5-inch diameter hail for those intensity levels. So they just made it, the risk categories, the probabilities really didn't change at all except for the fact that they added percentages to the wind. The only thing that's changed is that old hatch is what they call it. The hatching, the significant category, has been kind of separated into 3 different hatchings. for 2026 and beyond. So it's a public, what we call it, a public confusion. It's just a level of confusion to add for those who are not, weather aware, don't really know what it means. But it's our job as meteorologists to kind of give you guys that added information as you go about looking at these maps on your own as to what they mean. So again, if you would like to learn about the intensity versus probability, again, I'm always here to help out. Feel free to shoot me an email. I can always explain it to you in depth. But again, that's what the Storm Prediction Center is doing. Now, if you look at our maps, we still are doing what the Storm Prediction Center used to do, where they have one category. So down here at the bottom of the screen, actually, you can see EF2 plus if we have a hatching zone on it. We don't have, hatch 2 or hatch 3. It's just hatch. But we don't have that on the map today, so don't have to worry about that. Same thing for wind. If there's a hatch, if there's ever a hatch on it, it'll have the diagonal lines on it, and it'll be for 75 mile per hour winds or greater. And if we have hatch for hail, it'll always be for 2-inch hail or greater. But again, we have no hatching for any of the hazards, so don't have to worry about intense tornadoes, winds, or hail with this event. Again, this is just kind of a normal springtime severe weather setup that we see usually every March here in the state of Michigan. Just love rambling about the weather. Can't you guys tell? Yes, the SIG, so CIG is like significant or something. Yes, it's like their old significant category, but it's been split up into more levels now, essentially. Can we discuss the cap? Absolutely. Yeah, we can go into depth a little bit. First and foremost, I need to get off the snow here. Sorry, I said the S word. But for those in the UP, you're used to it this time of the year. Go ahead and take a look at 7 o'clock this evening. In fact, I'm going to back it up to where the atmosphere is going to be primed. So we'll go back to 5 here. Yeah. So the capping inversion is what prevents severe weather from happening. 10 out of 10 times it's always going to happen, or it's always going to start the day. There's always going to be a capping inversion to start the day. As we get throughout the day, that cap may erode, it may not, it may get slightly weak, and depending on what that capping inversion does, depends on, it turns out to make these storms become, more severe, or they just don't happen at all. So the best way I can explain it here is for a atmosphere to become uncapped. You guys follow me still? You need it to be consistently warm to cool as you go up with height. And so what I'm showing you here on this confusing little chart here called the skew T, as you can see, as you go up with height, that red line on your screen, it's getting consistently cooler as you go up with height. So that is a uncapped atmosphere, except here's the catch. Right down here at the surface, where it curves right back to cooler temperatures. So there's a very, very tiny cap in place at the surface for tonight. Now, what that means for our severe weather, again, that capping inversion is measured by SIN-H, so convective inhibition. We want that number to be 0 to be fully uncapped, but it's at -68, which means it's slightly capped. Once you get to -100 and higher, that's pretty much fully capped. With it being slightly capped, it doesn't cut off storm development completely. It will prevent some storms from firing, but not all of them. So you'll have what's called that semi-discrete mode, where you have kind of a string of pearls or string of like supercells pop up, and they'll be somewhat scattered but relatively attached in nature. And so we can kind of see storms develop here, there, and everywhere across, in this example, Southwest Michigan. So there's a tiny little cap in place. And again, as we go later into the overnight hours, again, it's going to get cooler at the surface. And so you think about it, it's going to be cool at the surface and then back to warm and then cool again. There's your huge cap coming into play. So again, we're kind of limited by this window. I say 4 p.m. to 1 a.m., but the window of opportunity for any tornadoes tonight is going to be primarily from 4 to about 8 p.m. or maybe even 9 p.m. because once we get beyond the sundown, I guess you could say, it's pretty cloudy out there right now, but sundown tonight, that's our fuel. It's our source of fuel is the sun. That's getting cut off. And again, the sun angle this time of the year and our ground just being generally cooler, it's hard to get severe weather to stay consistent overnight into the overnight hours, at least for surface-based storms. You can still have elevated storms where storms can fire above the capping inversion, so that's why they're called elevated. They're above the cap. And those do pose, still a hail risk, but to get those surface-based storms that usually produce tornadoes and, of course, downbursts, straight-line winds, you do need some sort of surface instability and lesser of a cap to form. So keep that in mind. We have a limited cap out there, which will eventually become a larger cap as we get into the overnight hours because it will be cooler at the surface. So that is your little meteorological lesson for the day as part of this briefing. Does the clouds and fog help all day with no sun heating? Kind of. But again, this atmosphere is more fueled by moisture advection, which is coming in from our southerly winds. And so we're getting this moist atmosphere just from the winds pulling in all this moisture from the south. So the sun would help, but this is primarily thermally or surface driven because of the moisture at the surface. So again, it would help, but again, you don't need the sun, I guess, technically for this event today. It would help, but the models today have been showing pretty much clouds all day, and they're still showing, severe weather soundings. So best chance for tornadoes is going to be the first line, so 4 p.m. through 1 a.m., the first line tonight. Tomorrow morning is going to be primarily a damaging wind threat. While I have a moment, I will go ahead and run through our advertisers or our sponsored businesses here at Michigan Storm Chasers who help keep operations flowing. They'll be at the bottom right corner of the screen, and I'll read them off as they loop through here in just a second. Again, if you'd like to become a trusted partner here at Michigan Storm Chasers, you can contact us at contact@michiganstormchasers.com or chandler@michiganstormchasers.com. So our trusted partners here at Michigan Storm Chasers, we'll start with A-Class Construction and Restoration, based in Northwest Michigan. Got American Arbor, also a tree company here in Southwest Michigan. For all of your restoration needs in the Genesee County region, Apex Restoration Mitigation. For all of your IT needs, feel free to contact Battle Creek IT. For all of your snow pushers, it's still winter out there, contact Clear Plow. For all of your fuel and propane delivery needs, feel free to contact Crystal Flash. They cover the entire state of Michigan. Katz Roofing and Siding, based out of Potterville and Lansing. Kuiper Tree Care, covering tree care needs in West Michigan. McKay Tree Specialists, heading down in the southeast corner of the state. They cover all of your tree care needs in Southeast Michigan. Mike Hayes Roofing and Siding, covering Sanilac and St. Clair counties in the Eastern Thumb. On Top Roofing, for all of your roofing needs across Livingston County and surrounding areas. For all of your restoration needs across West Michigan, Rainbow Restoration is the go-to. Rapid Radios, for all of your wireless communication needs, West Michigan based. Ronald McDonald House of Detroit, feel free to call that number on the screen to donate to families in need today. Covering the entire state of Michigan, also for restoration needs, is ServPro. 1-800 number is on the screen. StormGuard, Metro Detroit North, for all of your roofing and exterior needs across North Metro Detroit. Over to West Michigan, Top Gun Roofing and Exteriors, for all of your exterior home needs in West Michigan. Top Notch Tree Care, for all of your tree care needs in the Lansing and Jackson region. Victor's Home Solutions, for all of your home solution needs in the Tri-Cities region, one of our new sponsors here at Michigan Storm Chasers. And that is our last sponsor on the list. So again, thank you very much for those who continue to make operations for you guys, the public, free of charge. And again, if you'd like to donate, as always, or become a trusted partner to help out with daily operations, feel free to hit the join button if you're watching on YouTube, or the subscribe button if you're watching on Facebook. Or, as always, feel free to reach out to Chandler at michiganstormchasers.com to become a trusted partner. Not really concerned with that cell near Angola right now. But this is the current radar for those who are curious as of 11:53. Also wanted to quick shout out our Discord server, discord.gg/Michigan Storm Chasers is the link. If you guys deal with perhaps weather anxiety, it is an option for you guys to join and talk with us during the severe weather event. Just make sure when you join to rename your username to your first name. It doesn't have to be a real first name, just has to be some sort of valid first name, and the county that you reside in so that we can send you notifications, weather anxiety tips for your area as needed if you are taking advice in Discord. So definitely a recommendation. We already have, I think, 2,700 people that take advantage of it. So again, it's free to join. Tornado chances the east side of the state for tonight, not very high. If you're in Pontiac, Flint's 1 to 3%. Tan is less than 1. And again, these are our in-house forecasts. So here at Michigan Storm Chasers, again, I am the chief meteorologist. I make these forecasts all in-house. Ryan also does them sometimes, and Alex does them as well. We all make these in-house because of our meteorological knowledge. And again, you'll see these throughout the year here at Michigan Storm Chasers. So if you need a different perspective on things other than the Storm Prediction Center, we got you covered with these maps. But again, if you missed the first 20 minutes of the briefing, it will be here for you guys to watch once the outro rolls. Best way to watch this back is going to be on YouTube. And as always, any live streams going forward, always on YouTube. We have a great mod team over there, and shout out our mods in here on YouTube today, as well as on Facebook for helping out with stream. But again, yeah, YouTube, Twitch, X, and Facebook are all the ways you can find us live. Notifications, as always, going to be found on YouTube, Twitch, and X only. I see a lot of nice comments in here. Thank you guys very much for the support. You guys mean the world to us. We can't do it without you guys. So, we've had a busy week at Michigan Storm Chasers. We would have done this briefing last night, but you might have noticed there's a little bit of a different outlook or different style of background here, and that is because I've been working on our streaming software the past couple weeks now, and that's been the project I've been working on. A couple of our staff are away, and some of our staff are sick, so we're very short-staffed here at Michigan Storm Chasers for the time being. But again, we will have you covered no matter what tonight for severe weather coverage. I'll be live with you guys, as well as Ryan, who may make an appearance, and of course Alex and even Matt as well in the background. So we got you covered. We don't leave you hanging. When severe weather strikes, we'll be live. But again, that line of storms moving on shore right now could be strong. We might actually see a special weather statement here in a little bit. But again, we're waiting for that decent instability to seep in as we get closer to the 3 and 4 o'clock hours. So just kind of a normal line of thunderstorms with perhaps a small hail risk at the current time. Yes, once again, tonight, tornado and hail threat is the main thing, and tomorrow morning, so after 5 a.m. tomorrow morning, more of a damaging wind threat. But with that, hi Ben, hi Victoria. We're going to go ahead and hop off, get some forecasts done, and get ready for our live severe weather coverage perhaps this evening. As always, make sure to hit that like button and the subscribe or the follow button on the way out. And of course, tell your friends and family about what we do here at Michigan Storm Chasers as we go throughout the evening hours. So, again, I'm Chief Meteorologist Joel Fritzma, signing off for now. We got you covered from beginning to end, as our motto states. Hope you see you back here later for severe weather coverage if needed. Otherwise, have a great rest of your evening. Stay safe, stay weather aware out there, and we'll talk to you soon.